Let me share with you a list of 18 reasons why I believe the Romans created Jesus and Christianity. 1. The Romans dominated the world when Christianity started, and we know the Romans closely monitored religions in their empire. 2. The Jews revolted against the Roman authority based on their religious beliefs that God would send them a Messiah to liberate them from Rome. 3. Jesus supposedly predicted the destruction of Jerusalem, but there is no evidence that Jesus or Christianity existed prior to the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE. 4. There is no Christian writing that dates to the 1st century. All Christian letters and gospels and manuscripts show up in or after the 2nd century. 5. All biblical Christian texts have anonymous authors. The gospels and letters were either attributed authorship in the 2nd century or they were falsely attributed to Peter, James, John, or Paul. 6. The biblical scholars openly agree to anonymous and pseudepigraphic authorship of the Christian Bible, with the exception of a few letters of Paul, but I have the evidence that Paul could not have written Romans, Corinthians, or Galatians either. 7. There are tons of contradictions throughout the Christian Bible, such as the 2 genealogies of Jesus in Matthew and Luke, or the resurrection appearances between the Gospels and Paul in 1 Corinthians 15, or the doctrines of Paul and Jesus about the authority of the Jewish law. 8. When a religious organization convinces millions of people that anonymously written contradictory stories are the infallible Word of God, then that organization is a professional deceiver. 9. When you realize the religion is built on lies and deceit, the way to identify the responsible party is by seeing who benefits from the lies. 10. The Jews rejected Jesus and Christianity in both the Bible and in real history, so it is not logical that Christianity is of Jewish origin. The enemies of the Jews in both the Bible and real history were the Romans. 11. Christianity was written in the Greek language, which was the most common language in the Roman Empire. It conforms to Greek philosophy and incorporates pagan Greek rituals like water baptism and eating human flesh and drinking human blood. 12. Irenaeus said the most ancient Christian church was founded and organized in Rome against heresies, Book 3, Chapter 3. Number 13. The enemies of the 2 main characters of Christianity, Jesus and Paul, were Jews, but the Romans found no fault with them. 14. Jesus told the Jews to pay their taxes to Caesar, and Paul said in the book of Romans to obey those who have authority over them because God appoints those who are in authority. 15. Jesus proclaimed judgment on the Jews, and Paul taught that the Jewish law was no longer applicable and that there was no longer Jew or Gentile, but one God over all. 16. The Roman Empire openly pushed Christianity on the world through violence after Constantine in the 4th century, but everything about Christianity was always pro-Roman and anti-Jewish. 17. The only argument against Christianity being pro-Roman are the myths of persecution and martyrdom. But we've already established that the Christians and Romans were not ashamed to lie. The brutal deaths of Christian apostles and church fathers in no way testifies to the validity of their faith. On the contrary, whichever God they believed in obviously did not have the power to protect them. So I conclude that Christians had to come up with some excuse for the early deaths of their leaders because they never even existed. 18. In summary, Christianity was the Roman replacement for the rebellious Jewish religion. The Jewish expectations of a Messiah sparked a rebellion against Rome, so after Rome squashed the rebellion, they created their version of a Jewish Messiah who supported the Roman narrative and demanded that people believe in him or perish.